1-6. That was the Big Ten's record in bowl games last season. Is it a trend or something to completely change this year? Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com. Welcome to the College Football Conference previews presented by Best Buy. Let's bring in CBS Sports' Spencer Tillman, college football analyst, to break down the Big Ten. And Spence, 1-6. A lot of people talking about how this conference is kind of becoming irrelevant. Do you see that being a trend this year as well?
Well, I think the conference clearly has problems. You look overall in the postseason play over the last 5 years, they've not fared particularly well. So you're right on the mark. I think everyone acknowledges that in terms of athletic ability and speed, they've been exposed a little bit. But, you know, that's what the process of this is all about. It's about reclaiming who you are, developing a new identity, making changes when you have to. And nowhere else is that more evident than what Rich Rodriguez is having to do at Michigan. He's still got problems there. He'll transition. They'll be fine in a couple of years, just not right now.
Spence, last year we talked about the last time that Michigan was going to transition. They're doing it again this year for a second season. Do you still see them as a team that shouldn't be considered in the top half of the Big Ten?
No, they're not there yet. They don't have explosive players, and until they get their quarterback issue settled, Jason, they're still going to be problematic. And again, I think the thing that really saves them is this is a conference overall that's still committed to the run. Ohio State even tinkered with some spread formation, but they weren't serious. Then Jim Tressel didn't have 100% confidence in his quarterback prior. And I think this year they'll experiment with more spread formations. But at the end of the day, what's going to keep Michigan even remotely close to getting some games that heretofore they used to be able to count on is the fact that nobody's airing it out a whole lot in this conference. So if you can keep scores close, play good defense, you're always going to have a shot to win.
Yeah, Purdue may have been the exception, but they're going in with a new coach this year. Spencer, when you look at, you mentioned Ohio State and them being the cream of the crop. Last year, fallen behind Penn State in terms of winning the title. But this year, Terrell Pryor's back, Daryl Clark is back. Which one of those two quarterbacks do you think is going to lead the title in the Big Ten?
Well, Pryor's going to be the guy. I mean, he's definitely going to be the guy that's going to be back there. They're going to expect him to run the ball. He's a dual threat. Clearly, we saw at the end of last season that Jim Tressel had to get comfortable. It took him a while to do it with a freshman quarterback in there making plays, but they had to do it. I mean, when they looked over at what Joe Pa was doing at Penn State, you know, Clark, their quarterback, as a dual threat guy, he's a field general, mature guy, had a complete cast of characters around him, a trio of receivers that were the best in the conference, perhaps as a trio the best in all of college football last year. When you look at that kind of success going over Penn State, there had to be an answer and a response, and that was Pryor putting him in the game. Beckman, your starter before that point, had to be set down. But you know what? That's college football. That's the way it works.
All right, so you like Pryor better than Clark this year, but which team do you like better, Spence, Ohio State or Penn State?
Well, I like Ohio State. Ohio State is a team that's going to always fare well, mainly because their coach is an outstanding coach. There's a reason why he's going to be there the rest of his life, and ultimately he's going to wind up on the staff as a teacher there or a professor. I think the fact that he is a tremendous recruiter, again, another top 3 finish this year, he's always going to get quality talent. He'll find somebody else to plug in there at the running back position to replace Beanie Wells. They've got the freshman that they had come in. They had some legal issues, have been reduced down from a felony charge to a misdemeanor. That means he will be able to participate. If he had that felony, he wouldn't be able to compete at the collegiate level. So they've got that all ironed out right now. They've just got to get the defense fixed, and Ohio State is the team to look at for the #1 spot in the Big Ten.
Jamal Berry, the running back that you're talking about there, Spence. What about at Penn State? Where do you see them here in the Big Ten?
Well, I think Penn State is right behind them. You know, when they match up and play one another this year, that's going to be essentially to decide the Big Ten champion, in my opinion. Royster, their outstanding running back, is back again. Clark, their field general, at the quarterback position, is going to make sure they stay in games. One of the things that, in talking to a couple of, Galen Hall, their offensive coordinator, he says that they're going to try to ask him to protect himself a lot more than he did last year. If you recall, got knocked out of key games with a concussion, had some residual effects of that for a few games, and that adversely impacted Ohio State, or rather Penn State, down the stretch. He's going to protect the ball. He's going to be smarter, make wiser decisions, and that spells danger for anybody is in a position to beat them. So I think Penn State is the team to watch for, too. They've got the #2 spot in the Big Ten.
All right, Ohio State, then Penn State. You already said you don't like Michigan, and they're retooling this year to challenge.
Right.
So what about the rest of the conference here, Spence? Who may challenge those two teams and maybe a surprise?
Well, you know what? A surprise team might be Kirk Ferentz's bunch at Iowa. I think when you look at in terms of by win, he's the highest paid coach in the Big Ten. We know Jim Tressel makes about $3.8 million. But in terms of each win, Kirk Ferentz just got an extension. I think it runs through 2015, if I'm not mistaken. This guy is a tremendous coach, had a bunch of issues with his players off the field. got that filtered out, and now he's got some stability on that offensive line, the best in the Big Ten. He's got a solid defense as well. And again, because of the nature of the way they play ball in the Big Ten, nobody's airing it out. The great defense with the veteran offensive line, the best in the Big Ten, they're going to have a chance to win. They've got great runners, depth there at the wide receiver position when they do choose to throw the ball. Iowa, is a team that to look for to do big things.
Yeah, and Kirk Ferentz just said that Jewel Hampton expected to be healthy this year, taking over
Yep.
for Sean Green. Spencer Tillman, thank you very much. So we look forward to hearing from you for the rest of the conferences.
All right, Jason, we'll see you, buddy.
All right, folks, and for more from Spencer T, be sure to check out all the college football conference previews right here on CBSSports.com, presented by Best Buy. For Spencer Tillman, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.